everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Casey, where we get together every Thursday at 10:30 to talk about market conditions, which move constantly. And we're going to have a big update on that today. We're going to talk about the opportunities in the market. We're also going to talk about how the market's going to be affected by the three events that are happening right now. We've got falling interest rates, we have an election, and we have a massive lawsuit that was settled, and commission structure, and how's it going to change, and who's going to pay for what. So we're going to talk about all of those things today on Coffee with Casey. The first thing we're going to do is hit the market conditions, okay? So if you look at this chart, the market conditions, we follow inventory, okay? It's really simple how this works. Since 2022, inventory has been down dramatically. Prices went up dramatically. Now, if the price of a home follows the inflation rate, let's say a $1 million home would now be worth about $1.25 million. Instead, it's worth $1.45 million. Is it worth $1.45 million, or is just lack of inventory has driven the prices over the value line? The answer is the latter. There's been a lack of inventory. So let's take a look at this. The first one that we're looking at is comparing the 30-day inventory, which is very important. How's the market reacting currently? The 30-day inventory by city, and I've got different cities in there. And that's against 2023. We all know that 2023 was a disaster. Inventory was down a massive amount. So improving over 2023 is not exactly hard to do, right? But if we look at it over on the right, that is the year to date. So 2024 versus 2019, that's what you're looking at on the right side, okay? So what that's showing is that actually our inventory is in most areas over the last 30 days improving dramatically. But year to date is the bottom. The bottom two charts are year to date. So there's the year to date. Let me just get up here so I can see it with you guys. This is against 2023. Again, I really don't care about 2023, but over on the right-hand side, it becomes dramatically apparent that our inventory is still down 30 to 45% lower than it was in 2019. So if we're looking at prices and we're like, well, prices are still pretty high. Yeah, they're still pretty high, but we are still year to date down 30 to 45% over where we were. Now, the percentages, sounds big deal, but look at the actual numbers, okay? This next chart that we're going to look at is the actual numbers of in McLean, year to date, in 2019, 625 houses were put on the market. This year, 340 year to date. So let's think about that. That's almost 300 houses less on the market than there was last year. Look at Vienna, Oakton, look at any of the markets that you're in. And if you want to look at your market, all you have to do is say, give me everything that went under contract, or everything that was listed between January 1 and today, back in 2019. And then what was it today? What was it this year? And that's what you're going to see. In Vienna, which is a big market for us, it's 654 to 457. That's 200 houses less this year than was in 2019. So even though we're, patting ourselves on the back and saying the market is recovering slightly over the past 30 days, this is a dumpster fire of a year. I mean, it is absolutely a dumpster fire. It's maybe it's not as bad as 2023, but it's pretty damn close. So what does that tell you? That the prices are still artificially high, and it's for one reason and one reason only, and that is inventory. Okay? So where are we now, right? Okay, we've got low inventory, but in the last 2 months, we had that run up in pricing in 2024. The last 2 months, the contract prices, the list price of the homes that are going under contract is 10% lower than the homes that actually settled. So let's just take percentage of assessment for a second. Let's say that everything settled in whatever market you're looking at 118% of their assessment. And that's what they settled at over the last, that's May and June contracts that are settling. But let's look at everything that went under contract in May and June. Those numbers are at 110. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the list price that we're putting on, is actually lower than what we would normally see. And that is because of summer. It is because of everybody went to the beach and they haven't come back yet, right? Isn't this Labor Day weekend? I think it's Labor Day weekend, right? Yeah, they're back. Yeah, they're back. Yeah. This weekend we put one on for 1.8. It went for 1.955. They're back, right? Put one on. It was a shaky townhouse. Townhouses are kind of tough to get. Put on a 1.1, got our 1.15. Put one on for 1.25, got 1.305. So the market is back. The contracts are back. They're not as strong as they were, but they're back, right? So that brings me to another thing, and I don't have a chart for this, but I'm going to talk about this for a second. Donnie, who runs this company, is a stat guy, and I'm a stat guy, right? And he produced some stats this week that just blew my mind. And one of the stats, out of all that he said, was how many of our contracts coming in literally went under contract in the first weekend, right? Now, if your house goes under contract, I did a whole series on the first 96 hours. You've got to get your homes in the first 96 hours under contract. And the reason for that is that's when the magic happens. That's when somebody bids 1.825, 1.85, and 1.955. It's 105,000 over the highest bid, next highest bid. That's when the magic happens. That's when one contract will come in at 1.5 and then say, I need your highest and best offer, and they come back at 1.65. They're the only contract. This is the only time this stuff happens in that first weekend. It's critical to get it done. 17% of the houses at Samson Properties are going under contract in the first weekend. 17%. So we're trying to maintain ours at about 85, 88% go under contract in that first weekend. But what the heck is going wrong with 17% of the homes going under contract in the first weekend? And I'm going to go right to the point. Now, we got 5,800 agents. That's a lot of agents. And the problem is simple. I could take it from 17% to 60% just like that. Just like that. Right, Chris? We put a house on the market. We put it on for $1.85 million. Do you know how many people are coming to see that house at $1.85 million? 0. We had 0 people. We put it on and coming soon. We're testing it. We're marketing it. We're telling the world about this house at 1.85. Nobody's coming to see that house. We drop it to 1.8. 25 people walk in the door. 4 people write contracts. Yada, yada, yada. $155,000 over list price. We get cardinal title. We get our lender. We control the whole transaction. Why? We did a predictive analysis. We tested the number before we went out in the market. Now, how is it that 83% of the homes that we're putting on the market aren't going on the contract the first weekend? We should know. If any company, Samson Properties agents should know before I hit that active key how many contracts I have coming in. There's no reason for this. So I'm just going to say the whole key to all the agents or anybody that listens to this is you must do a predictive analysis. You must test a number. And I don't talk about the higher end number. I mean the lower end number. You need to test that number to see if they're still there for that. You need to test that number for 7 days. If you have more than 7 showings, you're at the right number. If you got 1 or 2 showings, you need to get that price down $50,000 bucks. And I don't mean $20,000. I don't mean $10,000. I don't mean $15,000. I mean $50,000. You are in the wrong buyer pool. They're not coming to see that house. And every time we violate that rule, every time we violate that protocol, we regret it. I now have 14, we always had 6 or 7 agents. I now have 14 agents. Some seller, and I just don't have control of all the sellers as I have my sellers. Some seller go, no, I don't want to do the predictive analysis. No, we're not going to do that. We're putting out that number. Bonk. No contracts. Crickets. Crickets. I'm telling you, if you got to get control of your sellers, you cannot break protocol. Protocol is go on coming soon. Pick a price that you're pretty much sure that's where the market is. Set the expectations with the seller. If we have less than 3 showings coming in, we're at the wrong number. We need to get that down. if you follow that protocol, that number will go from 17% under contract and minimal going to Cardinal to 60, 70% going under contract, and most of those going to Cardinal title. Peter was just talking earlier, you're battling for a contract, and a Samson agent is working with another settlement and title company, and he loses a contract because he wanted his settlement and title company. He's in the first weekend. He's got multiple contracts. He can pick whatever he wants. He's going to pick his own title company. We do too. You use Cardinal Title? If two contracts are at 1.9, and one's going to Cardinal and one's going to another company, I'm going with Cardinal Title every time. So long as everything else is equal. Good, solid lender, good, solid agent, tie goes to the runner. Tie goes to to Cardinal Title. Why? Because they're good. They run the title work for us up front. We know that's a solid deal. If I'm going to Cardinal Title, I'm locked in, right? So I would just say that I diverted from market conditions over to these things because I was startled when I saw the statistic from Donnie that only 17% of the contracts that were submitted were in the first weekend. Now we just need to make sure that we are testing it and coming soon. That should be 60, 70%. It should not be 17. I know the market's a little difficult right now, but we need to get our test prices down, and we certainly need to get our list prices down when we're going after it. They'll bid it up. If the house is worth $850, they'll bid up to $850. Get it under $800. We got one at $3.1 million. I'm like, what are we thinking? Nobody's coming? Well, why are you not at 2.99 million? The buyer pool is 3 times bigger under 3 million than over 3 million. The success rate over 3 million, between 3 million and 4 million, only 1/3 of the homes are under contract, whereas underneath 3 million, 68% are under contract. Let's go that's where the seller's market is, not the buyer's market. Let's sell in the seller's market. We're only $100,000 away. I guarantee we're going to launch it at $3 million, and I'll guarantee you'll get 3.1. Got to find the buyer's market. You've got to find the buyer's market. So let's take a look. Let me go to the next chart here. The next chart is this is where the opportunity is. We don't talk about opportunities in the marketplace. What is the opportunity in a marketplace? So just so you know, I track the success rate, which means what percentage of homes, like I just said, what percentage of homes on the market is under contract. So if 60% or more are under contract, that's considered a seller's market. The sellers have control of that market. If it's 40% or below, the buyers have control of the market. Because 6 homes are on the market, there's plenty to choose from. So really the buyers have control of that market. They can pick their title company or they're in control. So here's the opportunity. The family homes in each market, I designate what is a family home. Like in Vienna, it may be under 1.3. In Centerville, it's under $1 million. And then the luxury homes are over that number. So I'm looking at this chart, and almost all of the markets in the family size homes are in a seller's market. So if you have a house for, let's say, $1 million or $800,000, and you want to buy a $1.4 million home, you are in a seller's market. You control the market at $800,000. But it's soft. It's really soft in the market at 1.4. What a perfect time to go up. And I'm going to talk about interest rates here in a minute, which is really dramatic of what's going on with interest rates. So you can move up. Now, here's what you couldn't do for 4.5 years. Here's what you could not do for 4.5 years. You could not submit a contract on any of our houses that was contingent on the sale of your house. And that's consistent across the market, right? In other words, if I have 4 contracts coming in and they're all like, hey, I'm coming in with all cash or half cash, I don't have anything to sell, it's not contingent. It's not contingent on anything, not a home inspection, not financing, not anything. Then I'm just going to take that contract. But that's not the way it is right now. If 60% of the homes are on the market, those 6 homes out of 10 are going, yeah, I would consider it a home sale contingency. Hell yes, I'd consider that. So now for the first time in 4.5 years, for the first time in 4.5 years, a person can can need to sell an $800 to $1 million home and buy a $1.5 million home, and they can make the purchase contingent on the sale of that home. You couldn't do that. How many people are stuck in a house with 2 kids or 3 kids, 1,800 square feet? They got to get a bigger house. I got to get a bigger house. I don't have rich parents. I need to sell this in order to buy that. How many people are in that situation? We haven't been able to help them. I'm just telling you, man, it's been like pulling teeth trying to get, they'll find a home they love, and we've seen it, right? They get 6 contracts. Well, we're out. We haven't been able to get a VA contract. We haven't been able to get a home sale contingency in years. Did you know VA is like 3/4 of a point lower than normal conventional rates? But most people won't accept a VA contract because they're competing against everybody else, right? Now you can get a VA contract. Now you can get a home sale contingency. Some people make mistakes, don't put their house on correctly, and it sits there. And you can come in and go, look, your house is not worth this, it's worth that. And I'll buy it at that number, what it's worth, because I'm going to prove what it's worth. We're going to buy it at what it's worth, but I need to sell my house first. And let me just show you something. Our homes sell in the average of 3 days. Your homes sell in the average of 45 days. How about we just make a deal? And the agent, swear to God, will go, love to do it. Thank you very much. Whereas before, what would a listing agent say? Get that crap out of here. Get that garbage out of here, right? It's a different world right now. That's why we do this show. That's why I'm sitting on the computer every day watching inventory and watching market and watching success rates. It's happening right before our eyes. That for the first time in 4.5 years, we can go to all the people that are stuck in a smaller house with more kids, you know? You imagine that you have a kid, you have another kid. A lot of them started the pandemic, they didn't have any kids, right? We had a pandemic. Hey, we're trapped. We can't get out of the house. What are we going to do? Make some kids. Now we got a kid or 2, right? Now they're stuck in this 1,800 square foot house with 2 or 3 kids going, what in the hell are we going to do now, right? So now the opportunity in the marketplace is go out and get everybody. Now, let's say most of my clients are 50, 60, 70 years old. They got kids. They got nephews, nieces. People getting married. They need to buy, but they got to sell that in order to buy this. Opportunity is here. And if I was, well, for our team that we do, we are dead on focused. And I'll be disclosed right now. We're going to have to everybody with smaller houses in the markets we have and say, hey, man, it's time to move up. Interest rates are down. Inventory is up. And even though inventory over the year to date is down, inventory in the last 30 days is back up. Inventory's up. Buyer market. Seller's market on your house. Let's sell your house and let's go buy something bigger. It's called a double header, right? So anyways, if we're looking for opportunities in the market, that one is biting us right in the ass, right? It is right there, and our job is to help people. And now it helps. Think of the people this helps. It helps the person that's stuck in this house, they get a bigger house. The person needs to sell a house, they get their house sold. 2 agents are really happy. 2 loan officers are really happy. 2 settlement companies are really happy. So by putting money in motion, everybody's happier. So it helps everyone. So it's up to our job as real estate people. It's up to my job as doing a show and trying to show people where opportunities are to get people out and say, let's take advantage of this market, right? So let's talk about, let me see what I got next. There's a couple things that are happening now. Let's talk about the market moving forward. We have an election, right? We have new commission structure, and then we have, what's the other one? Oh, interest rates. Interest rates are falling, right? So let's walk through each one of them, all right? Now, I'm basically Northern Virginia. I don't really get into Arlington as much. So we've never had a problem, basically, on the effect of a election going up or down. But I will tell you right now, there's 100 people that are very, very nervous about this election. 100% of us are nervous. All of us are. In November, 50% are going to be happy, 50% are going to be really nervous. But 50% are going to be happy. So markets don't like instability. And right now the markets are unstable because not the real estate market, but maybe the stock markets are a little unstable because there's uncertainty. Well, who is it? Who are we going to get as our next president? I mean, it's a huge contrast. It's not like, either one will do. No, you're either one way or the other. There's nobody in the middle, right? So 50% are going to be happy no matter who wins, and that's the group that is at least going to bring some confidence back into the market. Right now, 100% are shaky. Now, is that slowing down the housing market? Not really. Not really. If your house is good and you price it right, there are buyers going to walk in that door and buy that house, okay? If you overprice it, nobody's coming in the door, nobody's going to buy that house. It's real simple. The sellers have their own destiny in their hands. And here's the dilemma. I don't want to be too pushy, but I know from 150 deals a year, like our team's over 163 million, I think, so far this year. So I know it. It's not like, I'm kind of advising you to do this. It's like, dude, I know it. If you don't launch this and test 1.8, you're screwed. If you want to test 1.85 and then go off at 1.8, I'm not sure 1.8's your number. But you want 1.85? Oh, okay. Dude, we fall flat on our face, and there's the one that doesn't go under contract. We as professionals have to be tougher with our clients when I know that 1.8 was the number. I know it was. It wasn't 1.85. And every time it's like, he really wants to go 1.85. And I do it begrudgingly. I break protocol and do it. And every single, don't I bitch I bitch all the time, don't I, Chris? God, got me again. God. Friends, you do it for a friend. Oh, God, client, it's much easier for me to tell a client something than it is a friend, right? Oh, got me. I'll never do that again. Anyways, I don't know how many times I've said it's amazing how I got to be 66 years old and still didn't know that. But I think that, you think this is the way you've got to go, and every time you don't, you find out, God dang it, I was dead on. We needed to do that number. So I think in a market like this, we all have to be just more firm that we know where the number is. That's where we've got to go. We cannot deviate from that number. We've got to dig in. And like the sellers from that we're working on, there's no way we're going under $3 million. No way we're going under $3 million. You watch, we're going under $3 million. I don't care how many stories I got to tell or how many things I got to prove. I'm getting that under $3 million. Trust me. And that's because if it stays at 3.1, then I'm going to go, oh, I knew I should have got it under there. Let's talk about new commission structure, the second thing that's kind of shaking up the market. I got so angry because we were at our mastermind meeting, which is the agents, I don't know, they over 10 million, 15 million, 20, I don't know what it is, but they're the mastermind meeting. And we sat around for most of the meeting talking about freaking commissions. How are we going to get paid? How are we going to do this? How's it going to go in the contract? How are we going to write this? It's just ridiculous. And to me, it's just smoke and mirrors. It just confuses the client. Let me give you the 20-second diffuser in a listing presentation. I don't know what you guys charge as listing commissions, but I'll give you mine. There's a big lawsuit, as you know. NVR got sued. Compass got sued. Keller Williams got sued. Long & Foster's parent company got sued. And they found that they were colluding at 6%. I charge 4.5%. I've been saying the same thing now for a long time. They just got sued. You're going to get 4.5%. That's what you can bank on paying. Oh, okay. And the other part of the lawsuit was they were giving away 2.5%, or they're colluding to give away 2.5% to the selling agents. We give away 2%. Oh, okay. We're done. That took 20 seconds. let's get on to the real stuff. What are we going to price this house at? You know? What are we going to price the house at? What's our marketing strategy going to be? What's our pricing strategy going to be? You know? What are we going to do to clean this house up? Well, how are we going to prepare this house for sale? Those are the important things. Commission is a 20-second speed bump. Let's get on with it. We got more important things to talk about than commissions. Now, I know it confuses a lot of people, but you have to make it, it has to be very simple and concise of to what it is. And I don't know. I don't know if people that charge 6% are still charging 6%. I have no idea, and I really don't care. I only care about my clients that I'm sitting in their living room talking to them, and my team's clients that we're sitting in the living room talking to them and trying to help them sell their house. I need to get focused on the pricing strategy. We need to get focused on the marketing plan. We need to get focused on preparing the home for sale. I've done tons of videos on all this stuff, right? These are the things. We need to focus on the contract negotiation. Now, if I said, and I'm not going to do it, but if I said, how many of you will allow an escalation clause on your contracts, probably 85 to 90% will raise their hand and go, yep, I'd accept it. I'd accept it. Yep. I know, because of the 20 agents, top agents in Vienna, we have a lot of sales that we have to do with them. So we call them up. Hey, would you accept an escalation clause? Sure. Sure. There is no freaking way an escalation clause is going to show up in my contracts. You can, but you better hope that not another contract shows up. And here's why. Person submits a contract at 1.5. This happens all the time. Escalation clause. Sorry, no escalation clause. I need your highest and best offer. Oh, no, we don't want to do. Sorry, man. Team policy. See it Monday at 12. They come back. How about 165? How about if we go 165? They bump the contract $150,000. Let me run that by the seller. I think we can make that work. $150,000. Tell that to a seller. Now, we have stories like that every weekend. Last weekend, highest price, 1.85. Winning contract, 1.955. Now, if you're selling your house, who do you want negotiating that contract? Now, I said, well, a seller volunteered the other day, yeah, an agent came in and said they were going to charge me 5% commission, but they could move down to 4.5%. I said, did you ask for that? She said, no. It's like, so they just gave in without even negotiating with you? Is that the person you want negotiating a contract on your house? That you could beat them without even asking them? Go ahead. I said, go ahead. Ask me to change my commission. Go ahead. Try it. Anyways, it was pretty funny. She got a good laugh out of it. But anyways, those are the things we need to focus on, not the stinking commission. So 20-second, disarm the commission thing. Let's move on with it. I know it has you confused. I'm going to make it really simple for you. We have more than enough stress for a seller to be under right now without worrying about a commission. So let me handle that. And if they bring in something else, I'll just chop it off and make it 2%. Don't worry about it. Let me handle that. I'm negotiating the contract for you. Okay, so let's get on to the other stuff. So now we've gone through what's the election going to have. Not really. I don't think it has that much effect on us. It hasn't historically in Northern Virginia. Maybe the people on Capitol Hill have a different opinion because, I mean, they got to work. I mean, there may be a turnover. I don't know. That's a question for them. Northern Virginia, my market, not really. New commission structure, I think agents are making it too complicated. I don't think so. I'm not worried about it, and we work right through that. So let's look at the next thing. Let's look at interest rates. Interest rates are falling, and not only are they falling, but they have fallen, and we don't know it yet. They have fallen, and we don't know it yet. So let's talk about how the interest rates work. The Fed is going to announce that they're going to drop the Fed rate or interest rates 50 basis points, half a point, right? Well, mortgages aren't based on that. Mortgages are based on the bond market, right? So you have the bond market, the 10-year bonds is what I watch and what I think everybody should watch. And if you look at the 10-year treasuries, right? Let me see if I can get to that real quick for you. There's the chart for the 10-year treasuries. Now, right about 2 weeks ago, the Fed started talking about dropping it 0.5 point. You see it drop? They were just talking about it. So the bond market is moving on rumors, right, of what they think is going to happen. So when the Fed actually drops at 0.5 point, the bond market has already taken that into account. They've already adjusted, right? It's not like the Fed says, we're going to drop interest rates 50 basis points. No, dropping the Fed fund rate. The bonds drive the market. The interest rates have already fallen. Now, I'm going to show you something that's going to really knock you out here in a second. So we know that the 30-year fix should be about 1.7% above that number right there. So that's about 5.4%, right? Historically, that's about 5.4%. So why are they at 6? Why are they at 6.1, right? Watch this. This is a chart. I know it's hard to read, but this is a chart where the light blue is the 10-year bond and the dark purple is the 30-year fixed rates. Now, you could see back in 2002, there was a separation, and watch that 30-year fix drop right down to the bond rate. See it? And then it happened back in 2008, 2009. See how it separated? And then look what happened next. It dropped right into the bond rate. Now, follow along. That's pretty close to the bond rate. The 30-year fixed mortgage rates are pretty close to as we've been working along. Now look at it separate in the last year and a half. See it up there? It's a full 0.5 to 3/4 of a point higher than it should be. So rates really are 5.4, or should be about 5.4 or less. It could be 5.1%. Historically, if you look at that chart, it's already telling us they're too high. At 6.1%, they're too high. We have to let that play out, and you'll see that's going to start to fall. So in my opinion, it was pushed up because banks are like, we're not sure how high this is going to go. We need to give ourselves a little buffer because this could get nasty. And then all of a sudden it starts going down and they're stuck up here. But pretty soon, when they feel comfortable that the Fed has dropped their rates, and then they can start adjusting back down to that bond level. But mark my words, we are way over where we should be on interest rates right now. We should be in the low to mid 5s. Watch the bond market. Watch the 10-year bond market. No. So how does that drive our market? What strategy would that be for buyers or sellers right now? So let's talk about this for a second. So let's say I have a buyer and they're looking at a 30-year fixed rate of 6.125%, right? You could buy it down for 2 or 3 points, and a buy down means I'm going to give you, let's take $1 million loan. I'm going to give you 2.5 points, which is $25,000, and I'm going to buy that rate down a full point, maybe down to 5.25. So I could lock in a 30-year fixed rate at 5.25%, but I got to give you $25,000 to do it, okay? Or I could just do a 5-year ARM at 5.25 and pay nothing, assuming that interest rates are going to fall over the next year or two, and I can refinance to the lower rate within the next year or two. I'm telling you, that chart says that it's almost a 90% guarantee that those rates are going down to the low 5s, and you can refinance within the next 12 months. So how would this change for me? I would say save the $25,000, don't do the buy down, do a 5-year ARM. Want to feel more comfortable? Do a 7-year ARM. Now, you need to work with a good loan officer who knows the spreads and knows how to do these spreads. Mike Filan is our guy, and he's been a lender on our team for many years and can explain it to your buyers of what they should do. But I did say for a while, you should just buy the rate down, 30-year fix, buy it down a point, and live with it, and what the hell, let's take the safe route. Now, I can clearly see that interest rates are headed down, and they're too high right now. Change of strategy. Do a 5-year ARM. Take the 25 grand. Do something else with it. Go on a nice vacation or something. Right. Save it for what? Yeah, for the refinance. Well, you know, you can get I'm telling you, just a rate reduction, you know, it's not as expensive as you would think, right, for the refinance. Because you're not going to pay points or anything. You're just going to do a rate refi. Now, the other thing, you know, is when you lock in your rate and it goes down, let's say you would normally lock your rate right now. Hey, Mike, you want 5.25 on a 5-year ARM? Lock me in. Let's say it goes down a quarter point or more. And by the time I get ready to settle, it's like 4.85%, not 5.25. They can adjust it and go down to the lower rate. They can adjust it one time. But it's got to be significant. It can't, you know, drop 1/8 of a point or something like that. It's got to drop a quarter point. If it drops a quarter point, you can go to them and go, Mike, let's do this the easy way. You drop it to the normal market, or I'm going to go to that other company and go with them. How does that work for you? Why don't you take that to the boss? Right? Again, we're supposed to be professional negotiators, right? We're supposed to know who has the leverage and who doesn't. And as a professional negotiator, I always tell people, I'm a terrible salesperson. I need to have leverage. I think that's it, right? I'm a terrible salesperson, so I need leverage, right? I'm not that good of a salesperson. I just need to have leverage that there's 4 contracts and I can pick one of them. And then I can leverage that out. And that's where you start doing your negotiating, right? So, you know, all I'm saying with what we're talking about and understanding the market, and again, let's talk about market timing. And this is what we tell our clients and always have. Don't try and time the market. Do not try and time the market, but know the market. Know where the opportunities are in the market. Know who has leverage in the market. Know, like, now is the time that we can move up and get a contingent contract, okay? Now is the time we can get a 5.25% interest rate. So think about this. So 4 months ago, prices were 8% higher. Interest rates, 6.5, 6.75%. And you couldn't get a house contingent on the sale of your home. Now, you can buy a house contingent on the sale of your home at 5.25%, and that house is selling it at kind of a discount right now. Pretty damn good. It's time. That's the opportunity. What's the matter? Is something wrong? Yep, let's get a microphone. So we do have an audience in here today from Samson Properties. A lot of agents are in here, so we're going to just take a few questions. It's 11:08. For those of you that are signing off, you can, thanks for joining Coffee with Casey this morning. If you want to stick around. We're going to have a couple of good questions. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Donnie. I'm glad I came out because just recently I just ratified a contract yesterday.
Yep.
And I was unsure, you know, to advise the client to either buy a point down or take a variable rate.
Yep.
So you're saying that at 5.2, that's the variable rate
right
currently.
So let's explain that. That rate at 5.25 is fixed for 5 years. Okay. I'm working under the assumption that rates are going to fall in the next 2 or 3 months to 5.25. That's what I'm banking on. Okay. And in looking at those charts, barring something crazy happening, somebody doing something stupid, right now I think they're going down to at least 5.5%. Could be lower. So my advice to the clients right now is, at this point, I would save the 25 grand you're going to spend or whatever you're going to spend on the buy down. I would get a 5-year ARM, call Mike finally to get current rates. I don't want to quote rates for him. He can do that. But what he quoted us, I think it was 5.25 for a 5-year ARM. I'd take that all day long and then refinance within the next 12 months. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yep.
Not really the question, but the comment. So I think we as a Samson agent has a huge advantage, going back to kind of your comment about the commission, because we get to keep 100% of our commission. I think we can be flexible with that. So this townhouse that I just ratified as a buyer, 2 days ago, we were, they collected 5 offers, and I was going neck and neck with, another offer. And, I was able to negotiate my commission $2,000 down, and then we won the offer. I mean, there's still $15,000, and $15,000 is, I think, a lot better than $0. So I think we as in light of this commission change, I think we as Samson agents can be more flexible with our commission. I think we can win more business. So I think this is actually good things that happened to us. So
let me tell you something, Chris. It's a huge advantage. Can you imagine the burden of having to pay a Keller Williams or a Compass or somebody else a commission and try and negotiate with us? And this is what I tell every seller. It's not cheap, 4.5. I just don't have to pay a point to somebody, right? And you know what? Compass isn't going to sell your house. Sotheby's isn't going to sell your house. Long & Foster's not going to sell your house. I'm going to sell your house. You're going to sell the house. Donnie Samson I'm telling you, we are so lucky to have him. He is so on top of everything, providing services for the agents. But the most powerful thing they do is don't take any of our commission. I pass it on to the seller. It's a no-brainer, man. No-brainer. We don't have that burden, so we can make that. You've been listening to Coffee with Casey. We come to you every Thursday morning at 10:30. Thanks to Justin Donnelly for setting up the studio here at Samson Properties, making us look halfway good. If you're looking for me, you can find me at 703-508-2535 or Casey at CaseySamson.com. If you want to look at any of our safety or any of our listing protocols, just go to the CaseySamson.com website, hit sellers, listing protocols, and it'll walk everything down for you, including videos on pricing, predictive analysis, preparing the house for sale, negotiating contracts. I can't even shut up on that site. So if you want to hear anything, you could go there to find it. We'll see you again next week on Coffee with Casey. Thanks.